Just like with Captain Marvel before, the initial consensus among professional reviewers granted early access to Marvel's Shang-Chi was that it was a triumph. Now, having seen the movie myself in a somewhat less than crowded public screening, that is an assessment I will have to disagree with. Shang-Chi is no triumph. In this review, I shall explain why not, as we break down the good, the bad, and the utter tone deafness about Marvel's Shang-Chi, and how that informs what ultimately went so wrong here. There will be but the mildest of spoilers. Let me begin by saying that despite of everything I'm about to say 30 seconds from now, Shang-Chi is not a bad movie, as there are many things about it which by themselves, in isolation, are good. The performances are good. There are many good scenes in it, and there are many good moments in it. So many good moments. The most immediate problem, though, is that for the sheer number of these things that individually are good, they don't mesh with each other. What sinks the movie to me is that Shang-Chi doesn't feel like one cohesive movie. Instead, it feels like three completely separate and wildly different movies that have been chopped up and then awkwardly spliced together into one film, without the individual parts fitting together. Those three distinct, ill-fitting parts consist of the following. A modern-day Fu Manchu reboot, made in the style of Chinese classics like Hero and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. This will be controversial. A big part of the reason why Shang-Chi won't be released in China is that in the comics, the character started out as the son of Fu Manchu, and the Chinese aren't overtly fond of Fu Manchu. Marvel have distanced themselves from Fu Manchu in public, but the Chinese fans in the state-approved Chinese social media nonetheless interject that even if you change the name, it's still Fu Manchu, and I tend to agree. He may look different, he may have some rings now, but in all but name, that's Fu Manchu, and the portions of the movie about him are excellent. Then there is the Shang-Chi bits, which are very stereotypically Marvel, to the extent that there is such a thing, filled to the brim with the kind of humor seen in Ant-Man. Finally, and this is where things really went off the rails, is where the movie tried to become a cultural event and milestone. Shang-Chi tries so hard to be the Chinese Black Panther that it even comes with its own Chinese Wakanda, inhabited by all kinds of Chinese fairy creatures and even headless snarfs. It's not all China though, as this part of the movie also comes with the same set of Hollywood identity politics that also brought down the Mulan remake. Those then are the three separate parts that Marvel's Shang-Chi are comprised of, and they are so tonally distinct that they may as well have been three different movies, two of which would have been good. But tonally, the end result of coupling all three together ended up as a, dare I say it, a Frankensteinian abomination. Marvel's Shang-Chi is not a bad movie per se, as there are too many good parts in it for that. Instead, it is what happens when a production company buy into their own hype, get a little bit too inflated for their own good, and think they can do nothing wrong. It is what happens when they try to do too much at the same time. Shang-Chi is what happens when a corporation tries to repeat the cultural event they had with Black Panther, but for a culture they clearly only have a superficial grasp of, as evident by them also including their own brand of identitarian politics into the proceedings. These are mutually exclusive propositions. I am no expert on Chinese culture, but my reading of the situation is that this movie and the themes in it are outright offensive to Chinese sensibilities. That is the height of tone deafness right there, and as a result, Shang-Chi won't be released in the very market it was so heavily pandering to. Hence, Marvel's Shang-Chi is no triumph. Instead, I submit that Marvel's Shang-Chi is hubris. Let me know your thoughts on that, on the movie, and if you even intend on seeing it in the comments.